the years that I was, I started with Journey in 1978, and I stayed with them through '85, and then the band sort of fell apart. We got back together in '96 and '97, and since that time I haven't been touring with them, though they continue to tour. It's just I have other options that are much more interesting to me, though I stay in close touch with Neil Sean, the guitarist, and I'm on his latest solo record, and we're going in the studio in September 2013 to work on a second solo record, and so I stay in touch with them. But that was a really interesting situation for me, very, in a way, a little out of left field, as right out of Berkeley, I went on tour with Jean-Luc Ponty for a while and recorded Enigmatic Ocean, one of Ponty's more well-known albums, and it was actually the first record I ever played on. I was 22 years old. And then after touring with Ponty for a little over a year, I ended up moving to the West Coast from Boston and started playing with Ronnie Montrose, who was a rock guitarist doing an instrumental project. So it was more or less like a Jeff Beck kind of musical situation. So he needed a fusion-oriented drummer. So I ended up auditioning for the gig, got the gig, and we went on tour with Journey. We were the opening act for Journey for 3 months, and that's how I met the guys in the band, and they asked me if I wanted to be in the group. So it seemed rather interesting to me, being like 24 years old, and I'd never really been in a group with singers. I mainly played with instrumentalists, and I thought that they played well and the music was interesting, so I just took a chance and said, okay, I'll do it. It's in some ways Journey was the odd gig for me, because I've been playing jazz and fusion. I played with Buddy DeFranco, in my years of going to Berkeley, and I was in a band called the Lynn Bibiano Big Band that was made up of a lot of Buddy Rich and Maynard Ferguson alumni. It was let's say a local big band that toured around the East Coast and the Midwest. And then to end up in a rock band was something I never thought about doing. But since the opportunity was there, it was a great thing to do, and I learned a lot. I really learned a lot about how to play that music, how to make a record, how to produce a record, and I learned a lot. It was like a PhD in the music business, just how the music business, especially at that time, worked. And when it was over in 1985, I really didn't have the intention to continue in that direction, and I of course played on a lot of rock and pop hits as a session musician, because that seemed interesting to me. To me, the most creative part of rock music is the process of recording, when you're actually coming up with the music and coming up with the parts. So I would say yes to sessions with Bryan Adams or Mariah Carey or Zucchero, or a variety of people that I played on their records. But in '86, I got a call from Mike Maneri and Mike Brecker to join Steps Ahead, and that was exactly what I was looking for. And so in '86, I got right back into playing in the jazz world and started touring with a great version of Steps Ahead with Daryl Jones on bass, Mike Stern on guitar, Mike Maneri and Michael Brecker. And I had already started my group Vital Information in '83. While still in Journey, we did a couple of records, '83 and '84, while I was still in the band, because I really needed that outlet. And then that band has continued to the present day. This year, 2013, we're having our 30th anniversary of recording and touring. The original lineup was myself and a bassist named Tim Landers and a saxophone player named David Wachesky, and the three of us are all from the Boston area. And we had been playing together since the '70s. And then when we all went to Berkeley, we met Dean Brown, great guitarist, and Mike Stern, who I played with a lot in the early 70s at Berkeley. So when I finally had the opportunity to make that first Vital Information record, it was all friends. And so I had Mike Stern on guitar and Dean Brown on guitar playing together. And then Tim Landers and David Wilczewski. And then as the years went on, the personnel has changed and evolved. And at this point, the lineup is Tom Coster on keyboards, who spent many years with Santana and has a similar story to mine. Grew up as a jazz musician and then ended up in a rock band. So we have a lot in common there. And then we have Baron Brown on bass, toured years with Billy Cobham and Jean-Luc, and Vinnie Valentino, great guitarist, originally from Washington, D.C., now living in New York. So that's a quartet, and we're continuing to tour and record. The music of Vital Information has evolved a lot over the years, and it has to do with a lot of different things. What I'm interested in musically is really primary. And who do I want to play with? Because I do really allow the band to become unique to the musicians that are in it. And one of the main ways I do that, since I'm not a prolific composer, you know, I'm more from, let's say, the Art Blakey, Buddy Rich school. I try to get great guys in the band that can write, that can play and write, and contribute to the book. And we collaborate a lot. So about half of the music is written in collaboration, where we get together, I have an idea, the bass player has an idea, we jam, and then we collectively write the music, so everyone's very invested, and it takes on a collective sound. Or Tom Coster will bring in a tune, or Vinnie Valentino will bring in a tune, and we have, you know, we create our music that way. And as it evolves, things have changed over the years. It was a little more rock-oriented at first with the two guitarists, and then it got more keyboard and rhythm-oriented. At this point, it's more R&B and funk-oriented with aspects of Indian rhythms. I've been doing a lot of playing with Indian musicians. In fact, in 2014, I'll be doing a very extensive U.S. tour with Zakir Hussain and Masters of Percussion, with Zakir and Selva Ganesh and some really incredible musicians from India. And I've been playing with Zakir over the last 12 years and learning about Indian music. And so I've incorporated that into Vital Information. I've spent years studying Kanakol, which is the Indian art form of vocal percussion. And so this is incorporated in the Vital Information music as well. So it's a different approach to put that over a funk groove, for instance, is one of the ideas that we do that's fairly unique. Steve Smith.